Well, first, since both masters are masters of telecommunications, okay, in telecommunications, I'm going to describe what we believe are the telecommunications. Okay, some of you know what are telecommunications, but maybe others have different in mind. So first, the knowledge areas of telecommunications are the communications, or also known as telecommunications, okay, electronics, networks, that in Spanish we call this part as telematics, okay, or telemática, and finally multimedia. These are the 4 areas that if you want to do any of both masters, you are going to come from a bachelor that normally is focused on one of these areas or many of these areas. What you're going to find in these masters are a way to specialize in one of these areas or in many of, or doing some elective subjects in many of these areas. And what you're going to find is, for example, in the communications area, you're going to find many communications technologies, okay, like communications, like wireless communication systems, or 5G, 6G, Li-Fi, the Internet of Things, things about drone remote sensing or Earth observation satellites, things like security cameras and how we obtain these images, or medical imaging, or collision avoidance radars and lidars, or self-driving cars, or aircraft systems communications, or many other communications technologies. Okay, so you are going to find many subjects that are related with these communications technologies, and particularly with the last advances in these areas. Okay. Also, you are going to find subjects about electronics technologies. Okay, here you're going to find things related with electronics for communications, or micro and nanotechnologies, integrated systems, embedded digital systems, or instrumentation and sensors. Okay, in particular, this image, for example, is of a sensor that has been sent to Mars in the last weeks. Okay, so, and it's a sensor that was developed here in our school. Also, you are going to find networks technologies. Okay, this has to be with the cloud computing, or e-health, or vehicular networks, or the blockchain, all the internet security or the cyber security, the e-government, the networked economy, or green computing. Okay, all of these networks technologies. And finally, you are going to find subjects related with the multimedia technologies. Okay, these multimedia technologies has to do with the personal assistance, or the real-time speech-to-speech translation, or augmented reality, and many of them use as a very normal tool the deep learning or the machine learning. So once I have defined this, what is the telecommunications, okay, or what you are going to find in these masters about telecommunications, I'm going to describe the main differences between the 2 masters, okay. One is the Master MET, okay, which is the Master's Degree in Telecommunications Engineering, and the other one is the Master MATT, which is the Master in Advanced Telecommunications Technologies. So let's see what are these main differences, and after this, I will show you very quickly what you are going to find inside this, inside both masters. Well, first, we have differences on the telecommunications engineering profession. Okay, one of the masters, the Master MET, the Master Degree in Telecommunications Engineering, is a qualifying master to practice the telecommunications engineering profession. So, for example, if you want to access to any telecommunications engineer position in the public service, for example, you need to have this master. Okay. In the Master of in Advanced Telecommunications Technology, you don't have disqualifying. You're not going to find disqualifying master. Okay, so the Master MAT is not qualifying you for practicing this telecommunications engineering profession. Also, you have a difference in the number of credits, as you maybe know. The Master MET is a master of 120 ECTS. This means 2 years at full time. Okay, this is the structure of the master. You are going to find a compulsory part of the master that is 45 ECTS and an elective part of the master that is 45 ECTS, and finally a master thesis of 30 ECTS. Okay, 30 ECTS corresponds to 1 semester. Okay, so here we have 4 semesters, 2 years, 120 ECTS. In the case of Master MAT, it's a master of 60 ECTS and is composed for a compulsory part of 15 ECTS, and then we have an elective part of 33 ECTS, and finally the master thesis of 12 ECTS. So this is another of the differences. Okay, you have in the Master MET, you are going to need to spend 2 years, and in the Master MAT, you are going to need 1 year. If we look to the specializations, the subjects that are going to be focused on one of these technologies areas that I have commented at the beginning, you are going to see that most of the elective subjects of both masters are shared. Okay, so they are sharing the same subjects. Okay, so most of the subjects that you're going to find, the elective subjects that you're going to find in the MET Master are also on the MAT Master. The exceptions are some subjects that come from the Master of Electronic Engineering, okay, that in the Master MAT we will see that these subjects are in 3 tracks: integrated systems, instrumentation and sensors, and micro and nanotechnologies for energy management. Okay. And also you are going to find in the Master MAT subjects from the Masters of the EETAC, okay, in Castelldefels. That is the other school that is giving this master with the school in Barcelona. Even with these differences, you have to take into account that in the Master MET, you can take up to 15 ECTS of elective subjects from other masters, such Master MAT or Master MET or any other master related with the technologies and information area. Also, another difference between both masters is that in the Master MET, the specialization is included in the official master's degree certificate. Okay, so you are going to get your certificate, and in your certificate is going to be specified that you have done an intensification or an specialization, and the name of this intensification and specialization. And in the case of the Master in Advanced Telecommunications Technologies, you are not going to have this included in this certificate. Okay, we can give you as a certificate with no valid, no legal validity. Okay, if you follow a particular track. Okay, but this is not going to be included in your master's degree certificate. Now let's talk about the mobility part in both masters. Both masters allows the possibility of doing mobility. Okay, in the case of the master MET, you can go on a mobility program for doing elective courses. That is not allowed in the case of the Master MAT. Okay, in the case of the Master MAT, you only can do on a mobility program for doing your master's thesis once you have finished all of the credits of the master here. So you first finish all of the credits, and then in another semester you go on a mobility program for doing your master's thesis. in the case of the MET, you can do elective courses and also your master's thesis. Okay, so you can spend 1 year doing elective courses and your master thesis in mobility. And in the case of the master math, you only can do the master thesis. Also, you have the opportunity of doing double degrees. Okay, these double degrees agreements are only with the master MET, the master of 120 CTS, and they are we have not agreements for doing these double degrees in the case of the master math. If you want more information about this mobility, you can contact the Vice Dean on International Relations, that is Jose Lázaro Villa. Okay, you have this information in the website. Also, we have a part of the master that is focused on the professional formation in companies or laboratories. In this case, this means that you can do internships. These internships can be curricular in the case of the master MET. Okay, in the case of the master MET, you can do 15 elective credits in a company or a laboratory with an internship, and also you can do your master thesis in a company or a laboratory. All of these are at the end recognizing credits that can be elective credits, 15 elective credits, or your master thesis if you have done your master thesis in this internship. In the case of the master math, you can only do your master thesis in a company or laboratory. Okay, so you don't have the opportunity of doing curricular internships for recognizing elective credits. And in both masters, you have the option of doing extracurricular internships with no credit recognition. This difference means that in the case of, if you are planning to be working while doing your master, this means that in this case, you can recognize these 15 elective credits with an internship, okay, in the case of MET, and in the case of math, if you are working, you can do it with internships that are agreements that the university have with some particular companies or laboratories. And this means that if you are working during your master, in the case of the master math, you are going to extend the amount of time that you are going to need to finish the master. Also, you can be formatted on companies or laboratories by your own, okay? So you can have some professional experience on your own, and you can recognize this professional experience in the case of the master MET up to 10 ECTS, okay? And in the case of the master math, this is not allowed. So a professional experience is only recognized in the master MET. You can choose one of these two options, okay? You can do internships or you can do recognition of your professional experience, but you cannot recognize credits on internships and on your professional experience. If you want more information about this part, the professional formation, you can contact the Vice Dean in charge, that is Frances Ray. Okay, you have also this information in the web. Also, we have the opportunity in these masters to do novel researcher activities. These are mainly related with what we call the introduction to research, that are research activities that can be done in UPC research groups and in research institutes or companies, okay? And these activities can initiate your master thesis, okay? So you can use these activities to initiate your master's thesis and then follow these activities with your master thesis, continue this activity. For doing this, you should agree with a professor. So there is a particular procedure using the internet of the school for accessing to this introduction to research activities. The introduction to research in the case of the master, MET, can be 5, 10, or 15 ECTS. Okay, in the case that you choose to do 15 ECTS, this activity is going to be incompatible with the curricular internships and for your professional recognition. Okay, and in the case of Master Math, you can do only 5 credits of this introduction to research activities. So these activities are enrolled as a normal subject, elective subject, okay? And also related with these activities for novel researchers, you can do a research-oriented master thesis that, as you know, in the case of the Master MET is going to be a thesis of 30 ECTS, and in the case of the Master Math is going to be a thesis of 12 ECTS. So of these novel researchers activities, you're going to find up to 45 ECTS in the case of the Master MET and up to 17 ECTS in the case of the Master Math. Okay, so as you can see, the Master MET is more focused to these novel researcher activities. Finally, just a question of about the price. Okay, the Master MET is a master that is a qualifying master and has a cheaper price than the Master Math. Okay, talking about the first-time credit. Okay, so this is the price of one credit that you are enrolling this credit the first time. Okay, as you can see, this is cheaper. It's true that it's a master that is 120 CTS, so at the end is going to be more expensive than the Master Math because these are 2 years. Okay, but then the price of the credit is cheaper in the case of the Master MET. Okay, remember that the price of the credits are different for EU residents and non-EU residents. Okay, but if you compare both masters, the price of the credit in the Master MET is cheaper than in Master Math. Well, now let's talk about the admission. Okay, if you are thinking about doing the pre-enrollment for both masters, the pre-enrollment now is open. Is open from March 13 to July 5 in both masters, and we are offering 60 places in the Master MET and 20 places in 20 or 40 places in the Master Math. Okay, is 40 places here. And you have general requirements for this admission. You need to have a degree of an official Spanish university or from a European or non-European university. In this case, the homologation is not required. Okay, but in both cases, these degrees should provide access to a master's degree or a postgraduate study. Okay. And also you have specific requirements that are a bit different on both masters. In the case of Master MET, is required to have 60 CTS of common knowledge on technical and telecommunications engineering area. Okay, this is what you get if you come from a bachelor degree on telecommunications in Spain. Okay, like the GRETS or the GRELEC. Okay, that are bachelor's degrees from this school. And also you need to have 48 ECTS of a specialization on one of the 4 areas of the telecommunications. Okay, if you come from one of these bachelor's degrees from Spain, your degree agrees with these requirements. Okay, if you come from outside of Spain, maybe you don't have this, you don't follow these requirements, and you may need some subjects before beginning to do some bachelor subjects before beginning the master. Okay, this is a requirement in the Master MET. You need to be a technical telecommunications engineering or have the knowledge of a technical telecommunications engineering. Okay, the common and the particular in a specific area, okay? And in the case, this comes from the requirement that the master is a qualifying master for the telecommunications engineering, okay? In the case of the master math, since we don't have this requirement, you simply has come from a degree that has to be related with the telecommunications. And if you are not directly related with all of this common knowledge, you don't have all of this common knowledge, and you are focused on a particular area, we can direct you to the tracks that are more simple to follow, taking into account your profile of access. Okay. So these are the main difference between both masters. Here, you need to follow these because you are going to access to a qualifying master. And in the case of master math, this is if you don't have these requirements, we can give you directions on what are the tracks that you can follow best. Also, both masters have an English level requirement that is the level B2, okay, for accessing to both masters because both masters are all in English. And now I'm going to present you very quickly both masters, okay, the structure of the both masters and what you are going to find inside these both masters. We're going to begin with Master MET. The Master MET is going to give you is going to form you on a transversal general knowledge on telecommunications. So the compulsory part of the master is focused on the communications area, the networks area, electronics area, and the management area. Okay. You can specialize in the master in one knowledge area. So you have the option at the end to specialize in one of these areas: communications, networks, electronics, and multimedia. Or you can become a multidisciplinary telecommunications engineering, taking subjects from different areas or from all the areas, okay, etc. Okay, we are going to see now what are exactly the minimum requirements for you to follow. And remember that this master's degree is the only way of becoming a telecommunications engineer. Okay, so once you finish this master, the Master MET, that is the master that qualifies you for this profession, you will be a telecommunications engineer. The structure of the master, as you have seen, is 120 CTS, and we have this part that is the bridge that can be up to 30 CTS and is assigned by the Master Academic Commission. The bridge is taken from the elective credits, so this is not your master is going to be 120 CTS if you have to do the bridge or not, okay? And if you need to do the bridge, you are going to have less credits in this part of the elective credits. If you have to do the bridge or not, or which subjects in the bridge, depends on your academic profile. The bridge is composed of these three areas: the communications, electronics, and networks. And you have, in the case of the communications area, you have 4 subjects, in electronics 2, and in networks 1. Okay, which subjects to do depends on your profile of access. Okay, for example, if we see the case of someone that comes from the bachelor in telecommunication services and technologies of this school, if you have a major in telecommunication systems, okay, you don't need to do the bridge. Okay, so the structure of your master is going to be something like this. Okay, 45 ECTS of compulsory subjects, 45 ECTS of elective subjects, and your master thesis. If you come from a major in network engineering or multimedia or electronic systems, you are going to be required to do 3 subjects from the bridge. Okay, so you are going to do 15 ECTS of a bridge, the compulsory subjects, and then you are going to have 30 ECTS of elective subjects, and finally your master thesis. Okay, so as more subjects you need to do in the bridge, you are going to have less number of credits for the elective part. Okay, in the limit, you are going to have only 15 ECTS in the elective part. Okay, that means that you will only have these credits for specializing in one area. Okay, and in this case, this means to do an intensification, as we are going to see next. Some of these subjects corresponds to some subjects that are in the bachelor. Okay, for example, BC corresponds to the CDA Sistel in the bachelor. AAM corresponds to antennas and microondas, okay, and microwaves, antennas and microwaves. TSF corresponds to optical communications and radio communications. Okay, these subjects are subjects in Catalan or Spanish. Okay, so if for the foreigner students that want to do the master and need to do bachelor subjects, you have to take into account that all of these subjects are not in English. Okay, and if you do these subjects in the, for example, as electives in the bachelor, you come, for example, from one of these majors, and you do these subjects in the bachelor, you are not going to be required to do the corresponding bridge subject. Okay. Then we have the core part, the compulsory part of the master, that is 45 ECTS. We have this part. It corresponds to the communications, electronics, networks, and management areas, and we have different subjects in this part. Okay, one of these subjects is MTP, that is a subject that is project-based. Okay, and we recommend to do this subject at the end of the core, because there are many concepts that are from the other subjects of the core. Okay. Then you have some academic pathways to follow. You can follow an intensification, you can follow a specialization, or you can do a double degree. And after completing your master, you need to finish one of these three pathways. Okay. The intensifications means that you need to do 15 ECTS of an intensification. Okay, these intensifications are intensifications on communications, networks, electronics, and multimedia, and you need to take 15 ECTS of these intensifications. In these intensifications, you are going to find 9 subjects, and you have to choose 3 subjects of these 9, okay, of one intensification. Okay, once you do this 15 ECTS in one intensification, you are going to have your intensification, and the rest of the elective credits you can do what you want. Also, you can do a specialization. In this case, we have 6 specializations: wireless communications, fiber optic communications, antennas, microwaves, and photonics for communications and Earth observation, networks and internet technologies, electronics, and multimedia. In this case, if you want to follow a specification, you are going to find in each one of these specializations, you are going to find 4 subjects, that means 20 ECTS that are compulsory, and then you are going to find more elective subjects that forms a pool from you have to choose 10 credits, okay, 2 of these subjects. So the structure of the master is something like this. Okay, if you choose an intensification, you are going to have up to 30 CTS of elective subjects that can be different from the intensification. And if you choose a specialization, you can have up to 15 CTS subjects from the elective part. Okay, depending on your bridge, you maybe are not able to do a specialization. Okay, for example, if you need to do 30 CTS on your bridge, you can only do an intensification. Okay, And also you have the possibility of doing the double degree. In this case, if you want to do a double degree, you need to do an intensification here before going to the foreign university to do the double degree. So this will be the structure in your case, okay? 45 ECTS of compulsory subjects and 15 of the intensification part. If you need to do a bridge, okay, you can see that maybe you need to do some part of these courses in the university of destination, okay? So, for example, you can do the intensification subjects in the destination university, okay? So if you need to do this part in the destination university, first you have to plan which are going to be these subjects, okay? And this you are going to do it before going to doing the double degree. The elective part, the rest of the elective credits can be taken from other elective subjects, some seminars for special subjects, and from the introduction to research, the professional experience, or the internships in companies or laboratories. Remember that you can only choose one of these three options in the case that you take 15 ECTS of introduction to research credits. Elective subjects, you're going to find subjects on communication, elective subjects on communications, elective subjects on networks, on electronics, on multimedia, and some transversal elective subjects, okay? And also you can get elective subjects from other masters, up to 15 ECTS, okay, under your tutor supervision. And also you have the opportunity of doing seminars that are courses of 2.5 or 3 ECTS, that are intensive courses where you have 4 or 5 hours per day and 4 or 5 days, and they are done after the final exams, and usually they have an overlapped scheduling, so you can not enroll more than one of these seminars in each semester. And here you have, for example, the seminars that we are going to have the next year. And also we have some special subjects that corresponds to this elective part, that are the CBI at CERN and the I2P, that are subjects that are multidisciplinary and international and focus on the innovation and the entrepreneurship, and they use a disruptive design to work, okay, and to do this project. They are project-based, and if you want more information about this, you can contact to Ramon Bragos, that is the Vice Dean in charge of these two subjects. Here you have the master in a nutshell. Okay, this is a summary of all that I have explained. And finally, the master MATT. The master MATT is a master with a structure of 60 ECTS, okay, the master in Advanced Telecommunications Technologies. We have 15 ECTS of compulsory subjects, and then 33 ECTS of elective subjects, and the master thesis of 12 ECTS. The compulsory part of the master are 3 subjects, a subject about machine learning from data, another one about software architecture, and another one about entrepreneurship for world challenges. And they are offered in the fall and spring terms here in Barcelona, and in the fall term are also offered in the campus in Castelldefels. Okay, so in the fall term you have a group for each one of these subjects in Barcelona and in Castelldefels, and in the spring term only here in Barcelona. Also, you have different academic pathways. In Barcelona, you have the vertical tracks. We have 8 vertical tracks. And in Castelldefels, you have 2 transversal tracks. And finally, you can follow no track, okay? So you can take the subjects, the elective subjects that you want. You can have a certificate of track issued. That means that you have done 25 ECTS recommended or elective subjects in the track. And now we are going to see what are these type of subjects. And this certificate has no legal validity. The structure of the tracks are this structure. You are going to find a recommended part, an elective part, and a leveling part. All of these subjects are going to be elective, okay? Except in the case of the EETAC levelings that are bachelor courses. And the recommended are what we call the main subjects of the track, okay? They are usually 3 subjects of 5 ECTS. And then we have the elective subjects that are optional subjects of the track. And in the case of Barcelona, you are going to have a pool of subjects and you have to choose the subjects to do your elective credits, okay? And in the case of Castelldefels, they have 6 subjects of 3 ECTS each, okay? So in Barcelona, you're going to find subjects of 5 ECTS, and in Castelldefels, this part are subjects of 3 ECTS each. And finally, you have the leveling that are the bridge subjects of the track. If you come from an area that is not the area of the track, we are going to tell you that it's better for you to doing these leveling subjects, okay? And these subjects are the subjects that are focused on leveling your knowledge for doing the rest of the elective subjects. Then we have the vertical tracks in Barcelona. Okay, we have vertical tracks on communications, networks and communications protocols, electronics and multimedia. In the case of communications, we have 3 tracks: antennas, microwaves, and photonics for communications and observation, wireless communications, and optical networks. Okay, as you can see, they are very related with the specializations of the master MET. In the case of networks and communications protocols, we have the network engineering track, okay, that is very related with the specialization on networks in the master MET. And in electronics, you find 3 tracks: integrated systems, instrumentation and sensors, and micro and nanotechnologies for energy management, that are very related with the different pathways that you can follow in the Master of Electronic Engineering. And we have also a multimedia track, the deep learning for multimedia processing. In Castelldefels, you find the transversal track that are cross-disciplinary, and they have the 5G networks track and the Internet of Things track. Finally, the elective part in this master, the rest of subjects that are, or the credits that are elective, you can do this part with elective subjects or with seminars of 3 ECTS, or the special subjects, the CBI or I2P, that I have presented before. Also, you have the opportunity of doing the introduction to research, only 5 ECTS in this case. And this is the summary, okay? So finally, the last information that I want to give you is that maybe you know the websites of the Master MET. We have 2 websites, this and this, for the Master MET, and 2 more websites for the Master MAT. And finally, you have the if you need more information, you can go to the academic secretary, okay, or you can access to this information by the web, okay, or you can contact them by email or by phone. And okay. And also you can contact me if you have more doubts, okay? Now I'm going to pass the presentation to Sonia, that is going to give you information about the admission process. Sonia?
Yes, hello. Thank you, Marcos, and welcome all of you. We just would like to show you a few presentations. It's only 3 slides, and they are going to summary the most important things you need to know while preparing your request, your applicancy for the master degree. And here you have specifically the dates. We started on March 13 and it will be open until July 5th. But we recommend you and we ask you to not wait until the last day, because then it's sometimes difficult to solve all your problems. So we recommend you to just go through the application procedure, and then we will keep going, informing you about how is it going. Okay, the resolution, the final resolution, the official one, will be by the end of July. Okay, and there you will find which is your tutor, and you will find some important information about enrollment. But before, you need to do some procedure. Specifically, here you have the useful links. You should go through a master's pre-enrollment. You should open an account, and then as soon as you have access, you need to upload some documents and follow the instructions. Okay. Here, I recommend you to see the facts. There are some facts, so maybe you will find already the answer of those things that worries you. As well, we have some tutorials about the process, so I recommend you to go through it. And then here you have some orientation of the official fees of the master degree for next academic year. As already Marcos explained you, we have the prices from this academic year, but usually it's approved by the government of Catalonia, and the specific one for next academic year, it may be approved by July. So this is just an orientation, but we think that it would be around these prices. Also, we give you the link of the OMI office for those of you who come from abroad. There is very important for you to see how they can help you. They are going to inform you about how to prepare your trip, specifically important for the legal procedures, okay? For your visa and for your TIE, which is a number, a card you need to have when you arrive here to Spain to be in a legal status. But for this, we really recommend you to start the admission process as soon as possible, because you need an admission letter, and to have this letter, you have to follow all the procedures, you have to pay some fees. So we recommend you strongly to start as soon as possible. Here also there is a link for the orientation week. We recommend you to get registered, and if you finally come to enroll to the master degree, then we recommend you to follow these sessions. Please, Marcos, if you can go for the next one. Thank you. Here is just a brief summary of the required documentation you need to upload in this pre-enrollment site. If you come from the UPC, it's very simple. We just need your CV, basically, and also your B2 at least level of English, okay? If you are already a student from the UPC, you usually have 3 ways to prove this English, which are if you go for the mobility during your bachelor degree, if you defend your master, your bachelor thesis in English, or if you take some subjects in English, and also you can, of course, like bring some certificates with Cambridge or TOEFL, IELTS, whatever, okay? And also, if you come from another school of the UPC, it's useful for us if you just get from the Prisma, from your e-secretaria, the transcript of record, the most updated one. It's useful for us, okay? Also, if you come from another university, which is not the UPC, then we also need your ID, only if you are foreign, if not necessary, your proof of English as well, and important, the transcript on record and bachelor diploma. We are aware that most of you, of course, are finishing this semester, so we recommend you to upload just a transcript of record that show all your optional subjects you have been taking in your bachelor degree. As Marcos already explained you, it's very important for them to see which is your path in your bachelor, so they are going to recommend you which subjects and path to follow. So this is very important. Just upload, even if it's not an official one, but those you can get from your site, from your university, that has the most updated information. Okay? And also, if you haven't your bachelor diploma yet, well, you should know that in order to enroll in September, usually it's the first week of September, this will be compulsory, but not now, of course, if you are still finishing your bachelor degree. If you're coming from abroad, then you should also add your passport, especially important for those of you that need to get a visa. We need the passport, not your ID card from your country, and also your English, your CV, and transcript of records and bachelor diploma. It's very useful to have the subjects descriptions, some link or whatever from your university that really helps the admission committee to see which are the subjects you've taken so they can advise you better in your enrollment. And here it doesn't say it, but of course, if it's coming from it's not in English, your transcript, and so you need to translate it. And if you're not from the European community, then it should be legalized, okay, with the apostille or whatever needed from your country. So this is especially the most important thing you need to know. If you want to also upload some recommendation letter or motivation letter, this is you can also upload it, but these are the required ones, okay? Here, the links is important. You have, well, sorry, yeah, thank you. You have the link for the pre-enrollment. You have to open an account and then follow the instructions. Also, once, hopefully, you will come with us, you will be admitted and enrolled. Here you have some enrollment information, and there is where you will find the final official resolution with your tutor on it. And then you have also the academic management calendar, important to follow the deadlines, okay? If not, we can help you if you don't follow the deadlines, okay? Now, yes, Marcos, please. Okay. So for us, that's all we want to inform you. But of course, we understand that if you have some questions, you can either send an email to us to this email, masters, it is, well, the address you have here, some telephone number as well. You can, of course, come to see us. But just let you know that for COVID, we need to follow some protocols, and it's important to ask for a prior appointment because we need to follow all the students that come. So it's basically important to follow this prior appointment, and then we welcome you to any of your questions. And right now, for me, it's over the presentation. Whatever questions you may have, you can either say it in the chat or maybe just open your micro, or I just pass the presentation to Marcos. I don't know if he wants to add anything else. Thank you and welcome all of you.